Good. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the open mic. My name is Joshua Mertz. We're going to ask the readers to be considerate of everybody else, to give you, say, 5 minutes or so. If you go too long, we'll gang up on you and tackle you and drag you away. But in general, you get to read for 5 minutes, and we will start with Tanner is going to come up and read for us, a brand new poet. Let's all welcome Tanner, please.
Oh, Tanner.
I don't have a title for this one, but here goes. A king and his fine noble men sought to seek out a new land. The party of 10 men searched. They began in one place they sought to call home, then went to visit a different place for a short while. 2 homes growing fine time for these men, until it was cut short. Unable to return to familiar soil, new land was built instead. With the help of these 10 men, the king created it. The rest were the first to witness it of the new proud land, a place to call home. That is what this kingdom is to us. We gather and remember to celebrate. We are brought here together, proud of this land we have found.
You dropped an envelope there, kiddo.
Sorry.
It's okay. Is that it?
Yeah, that was it.
Tanner, reading for us. Thank you very much, Tanner. Always love to see folks trying out poetry up here. Good to see that. I want to tell everyone, don't be afraid of the microphone. A lot of people want to read over here, but feel free to read into the microphone. That way we can all hear you. I will demonstrate this for you right now with something that I have humbly written recently. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I'll be walking around the house and a little phrase will float through my head, and you go, okay, we'll see where that goes. If words were water, if these words were water, they would flow as a river flows in search of the truth, shining the beauty of dance onto all who read them. Clear, full of light as a running stream, mysterious as the rolling ocean. If these words were water, we would bathe in them, splash ecstatic words on our faces, and use the moist wonderful to love the world as it should be loved. Love it as open water mirrors the sky. Love it like rain. Our words the roar of an enigmatic ocean. And now I would like to welcome up Mr. Charles T. is going to come up here and read some fabulous poetry for us. Please welcome Charles.
I was reminded of this poem this morning when I was out in the gazebo in my backyard, 25 plus western red cedars, 1 60-foot tall Colorado blue spruce, and the wind and the rain, everything was going. And then I went around picking up things out of my garden. Right? So this is called Solitaire at Dawn. And this asks that you think of the children of rain as being raindrops. The children of 4 days of rain, having left the arm of spruce, cool above roots, and listen as the black-haired goats of evening slip inside loam. The first crow call, a beacon void of promise for those who play solitaire well. The queen of hearts, heavy with an imprint left by a mask, waits to see which cards are dealt. Then we find a home for the one-eyed jack as fog trails mist on the sliding glass doors. Gray brush over the mural of one life. Now, I live not far from a railroad yard. Generally, it's like 6 tracks, and they put together trains there throughout the night. Now, going out at midnight, sitting in the gazebo, and listening to them to put trains together is a little bit like listening to Charlie Parker and the horns and the squeals. And of course, there's also a great horned owl in our neighborhood who likes to get noisy about that time. This comes from clear sky over oak. I sit close to a midnight window as train horns oval a moment of still point. I am well past being tripped up looking back. Marrow x-rayed in the quest for prognosis below a sky of relative clarity. Wishbone fossils kedged over roots, then released to a current's run over some sun-sparked agates. Sax notes sliding into deep grass as dragonflies dream of hot sun, of heat rising off round stones, of light through veined wings. Now I can sleep now. I can barefoot down my oak step ladder to a warm lake of sleep. Sleep now, sleep now. Thank you.
Very nice. The Children of Rain and the Dreams of Dragonflies. Thank you very much, Charles. And now, you know, I've always wanted to say, and now a man who needs no introduction, then walk away from the microphone, but I'm not going to do that this time. This is a man who needs no introduction. Please welcome Mr. Andrew Gonzalez.
The planet does not cater to insolent human whims. Your reality may stop. But oh, the world spins. Birth is the gunshot, life the race, death the finish line, the roller coaster chase. The world keeps turning. Don't get stuck in one place.
Thank you, Andrew. Always a good thought from Andrew Gonzalez. Okay, we have the wonderful Jennifer Tucker who's going to read some poetry for us. Please welcome Jennifer.
Well, as last month, I believe, I followed Andrew last month, so I'm sort of the foil. Okay, speaking of the world may be passing me by. Sitting silent and dark in the next room is a wondrous device. Worlds of knowledge, foreign adventure, visual thrills, a cornucopia of connection, all mine with a click of plastic. While here at the window, a cloudy sky, sun glinting on frosty tree limbs, chirping sparrows, juncos, and jays, feasting on suet and seed, provide simple scenery, sensual delight. Some unseen hand anchors me to the window seat, sipping tea, counting birds. As sunlight comes and goes, my imagination soars through the clouds, connecting the fragile parts of me, fragmented by the mechanical world. That wondrous device just sits. Sun in a bowl. I light a candle in the early hours, then place it on the table. The sun is hiding again today and the window is dark. In a teal blue bowl, a peeled orange mango glistens. Juicy flesh sparkles in the candle's flickering flame. My spoon, poised in anticipation, now pauses, suddenly uncertain about devouring the sun. Thank you.
Some beautiful images there, Jennifer, and yes, we can all devour the sun. It would make us bright. And that thing in the other room, that thing that we use for watching cat videos and arguing with strangers, right. Okay, we have next, Gus is going to read for us. Come on up, Gus. Yay, Gus. How's that?
That looks like it's good.
You like that one? Okay.
I've drawn this from my literary background, which was reading pulp westerns when I was a kid, and also for any of you that didn't get those, if you had access to older movies. But it's called Cowtown, USA. Tex sat alone at the mirrored bar, Lone Tree Saloon, a grizzled cowpoke. Dry from a week on the summer range, leave the bottle, he said. Bell did. A lone tear inched down his cheek, finding his way past a couple of scars. Unseen behind an uncombed beard, he mourned the West of his long past years. It was late on a Saturday night, painted ladies, a few lonely pokes, elbows on beer-stained tables, all wearied by dust and life. Belle swiped her towel down the polished bar. Tex, you know Shorty's coming for you. Well, I'm here, he said, and shifted his coat away from his, and he patted his right hip with a grim smile. The bat-wing doors swung open wide. Shorty ducked his head to come inside, blinked a bit at the sudden glare, and lumbered slowly to the bar. Tex, you rat, I didn't think you'd show. You're way too slow for me, you know. Of course I'm here, you bag of slime, all clear the way back there. I'm fine. Shifting chairs, booted feet, Shorty's aim was seldom true. Blood might spill, likely to. Cowboys wanted it not be their own. Bell set the target by the far rear wall. A fresh new dartboard, standing tall. March, Tex, and Shorty, 10 paces each. Draw just 3 darts and try to reach. 2-liter Cokes for the winter, diet or regular. Now, I didn't write this while you were watching me just a moment ago. What I did was try to remember it, which I'll do. Big Joe could hold his liquor. He was a drinking man. Corn squeezins by the jugful, store beer, can by can. He drank too much one Saturday night, left his car right where it stood. She'd be waiting with fire in her eyes, the whole town understood. 5 long miles from town to home, Joe wore plumb out halfway. Laid his head on the cold, cold ground, slept till break of day. Stopped at the creek to wash up clean. The creek was running high. Fell in deep, washed downstream, thought he was gonna die. Powerful funeral for poor old Joe. The preacher spouted long. His wife cried tears the whole darn time. We sang the amazing song. The town's best bar has closed up tight. His wife has sued the state. Big Joe has dried up all the way. Sans Creek, sans bar, sans mate.
Great stuff, Gus. I'll tell you, corn squeezins, cowboys, and dartboards. Wow. Thank you very much. Well, let's see. We are moving on to Anita Sullivan, will be reading for us. Do I see an Anita Sullivan in the audience? Come on up, Anita.
This should be about right. Yeah, yeah. This poem came as a surprise. It's kind of like channeling or something. My past coming back to haunt me unexpectedly. I was a piano tuner for years, and I used to play the piano, and I've kind of gone away from that. So here, my past came back. I call it a piano's perspective. In the bottom right corner of today's real-life painting, a grand piano sullenly erupts. But the perspective relegates the piano to a distance of 1/8 of a mile from here, so that the tiny instrument, now enveloped in an impressionist haze, when compared to the regular fences, stark winter branches, buildings, and parked cars dominating the foreground of today's real-life painting, still appears roughly as a pea to a mattress. Tiny elliptical dust cloud gyrating inside another person's life. But because I know it's a piano, not a camel, but a piano, entering and re-entering the eye's needle in some desperate attempt to get my attention, I squint over and down at the asymmetrical flurry lodged in my peripheral vision, still silent, but nonetheless sending out a call that only someone guilty through a very specific chain of events could possibly recognize as hopeless to evade. Guilty and haunted. Why did you run off and leave me so long ago? All these years, I could have helped you out. I was your panther soul. This piano, doubtless my 1923 Steinway O with its crazed finish, has become, as the dust begins to slip away, a teenage gypsy telling her first fortune. I can see it looming as it rolls in my direction, hinting darkly at the revelation of suppressed secrets from the musical part of my past. The part not only does nobody else know, but nobody else can know. I am helpless now, snagged by a single what if, by one ice-rattled abyss, one set of cathedral echoes, 70 dozen well-seeped, perfect, soul-stroking measurings of sound, striated, penultimate, wing-infested. A sort of heaving charcoal sadness envelops me. The piano is laughing as it presents its clearly outlined, unfragmented self to my pre-wounded soul. It has only pretended to explode. And as it comes closer, I hear it lecturing me from our last conversation 3 decades ago. You realize that people in the 16th century listening to Orlando de Lassus would have felt a strangeness then, just like we do. Certain music is never normal, even in its own time. It practices without us. How could a piano possibly have known that, you may ask? It wasn't invented yet. Ha, I say, and ha.
Ha, she says, and ah. Good stuff. Oh, the piano is a teenage gypsy telling fortunes. Good stuff. That was Anita Sullivan, and let's see, who do we have next? Adam. Adam S. is going to come up. Where's Adam?
Adam going once.
Adam going once. Adam going twice. Do I have an Eve? No, okay. We move on to Sandy Scher is going to be reading for us. Here she is, Sandy Scher.
Thank you. That's just fine. Thank you. This is called Sometimes. Sometimes the heart takes a wild ride, leaves the body. I knew I shouldn't have put it on this thing. Let's start again. This is too small. Okay, it's called Sometimes. Sometimes the heart takes a wild ride, leaves the body, and is airborne like a kite. Flirting with a passionate breeze, the heart starts living freely on its own. And sometimes the head looks the other way just long enough to give the heart full rein. And only when that breeze has truly gone, pulls the heart back home to earth again.
The heart on the breeze. Thank you very much, Sandy. Beautiful image. Love these poets. Next we have Grace Richards is going to read for us. Grace, come on up.
This poem I wrote after a long, depressing winter, so it's about the healing power of spring. It's called Cloudburst. The soft insistence of falling rain no longer evokes bitter winter tears, but awakening to the heartbreaking poignancy of springtime. The weeping willow's silvery branches drape in luxuriation like the long, silky hair of a beautiful woman gently brushing against her lover's skin. The fern, fearfully coiled against the cold, shyly uncurls its virginal feathery fronds, bright green, welcoming the sun's sudden warm potency. Cherry trees, lavishly blooming in flirtatious pink bouquets, arc upward in shimmering afternoon light like girlish lips waiting to be kissed. I no longer reside in winter's wood of suicides. My wounds do not speak for me, nor do my tears, which flowed endlessly for years. I do not agree with one poet, though brilliant in his irony, that April is the cruelest month, mixing memory and desire with spring rain. I drink in the sweet showers of April, breathe in its fragrant breeze, and sway with the clouds above, nuzzling in a slow rumba. I know I am that beautiful woman who says to life, Bésame, bésame mucho.
Yes, Bésame mucho, which means kiss me much. Thank you very much there, Grace. That was beautiful. The poignancy of spring. Well, let's see what Donna McNeil has to read for us.
Go, Donna.
Donna, come on up.
I think this is just fine. Yeah, thank you. So I would ask a question before I read this, to ask you to think whether or not you know people who might fit this description. She sings, he plays. He listens, she talks. She ponders, he decides. He acts, she hangs back. She planner, he doer. He today, she tomorrow. She accepting, he the judge. He sunshine, she the odd shower. She anxious, he lonely. He eager, she unsure. She waffles, he persists. He proposes, she accepts. She critical, he defensive. He shouts, she cries. She retracts, he regrets. He resolves, she recommits. This one's called Traveling Mercies. She stares out from a window seat, blind to the glorious ripe fields and picturesque towns the bus passes. Thoughts churn. A visit with cousins, looking for the child they knew in her now teenaged body. Her often absent mother, the one she'd come cross-country to see. In the bus's rear view mirror, the driver's smiling eyes, rugged good looks, friendly questions, draw her back to the present. Conversation continues for miles. Slowly, she opens up. Nearing the city, halfway through the journey home, this stop a layover for her, for him the destination. As she gathers her things to leave, the driver invites her to lunch. Off the bus, conversation that had been easy feels awkward. With every step from terminal to coffee shop, discomfort increases. Ordering at the counter, he suggests they go sightseeing. She looks down, anywhere but into his dark eyes, sips on her Coke, not sure what to say. Panic rising, she excuses herself, heads quickly for the restroom. For what feels like hours, she huddles there, embarrassed, unable to ask advice of strangers, wrapped in her jacket, in silence, uncertainty, alone.
Wow, excellent portraits of people. Fascinating. Yes, I've known those two people at the beginning. The young lady on the bus, an untold story beneath. Very nice. Thank you so much. Let's see, whom shall we have next? Let's go with Sharon Munson. It's going to read for us. Come on up, Sharon.
Go get him, Sharon.
I can do that. I knew those two people too.
Did you really? I was one of them.
Yeah.
Is this a good height for you, kiddo?
Yeah, that works. Yeah. I wrote about my favorite meal. Breakfast. Breakfast alone at a neighborhood cafe. Breakfast quiet, bring a book. Breakfast light, fruit and yogurt. Breakfast heavy, pancakes and bacon. Have a meal at a truck stop. On another day, the Ritz. Breakfast at a window table as January snow blankets the city. Sip a cafe creme and jelly donuts with the Sunday comics. Plan birthday brunches. Invite a crowd. Breakfast on a patio or in the garden. Order savory crepes at the Space Needle. In Paris, plan a breakfast picnic on the Chef de Mar. Bring a buttery croissant, a mimosa in a thermos. Toast the Eiffel Tower. Toast the day. Take a channel to London. Overnight at Claridge's. Order an in-room breakfast. Smoked salmon scramble and potato cakes. Breakfast while the fish are rising and the sun's just coming up. Grill fresh rainbow trout over a campfire. Breakfast as the stock market rises or falls. Pack a breakfast of sandwiches. Share with the person pushing a cart on Front Street. Request cuddled eggs with your great aunt. Waffles with a child. Breakfast with your favorite poet. If you oversleep, have breakfast for lunch.
know about you, but my taste buds are fibrillating about now. It's very nice. Oh, and here's a name that we all know. We will finish off with Mr. Charles Castle. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Charles Castle.
Thank you, sir. So, we have not filled up all our time. So, I just want to encourage you, as you come back, don't be afraid to take 5 minutes. I appreciate that you keep room for everybody else, but you got good stuff. There aren't always a lot of opportunities to get up in front of a mic, so don't be afraid to take your 5 minutes. Anyway, I'm taking some of mine. Anyway, 2 short ones recent in the last couple of days. First one called American Pearls. This winter country of my heritage, given me as my oyster. Nothing now I recognize as my own, as freedom plucked like pearls. The empty shells at Tidewater, river where my childhood drains. March winds rattle to wake the dry salt grasses. While the 2 of us, my child and I, wait on either shore, the stagnant ebb, for the flood of spring, hope more than wisdom in our hearts. 30 miles by morning. This comes from my experience living in the Adirondacks way back when, 20-somethings. A thundering cold cracks thick lake ice, dark crevices an inch wide, whispering abyss. Above, shafts part like heaven's fingers through a weather of clouds, moonlight's hand. Walking miles of hard prevail, staring the hours down, 3 distant Saronacks, the Adirondacks' diamond necklace. Wrapped by intention, warmed by exertion, and the effort to face night's unforgiving beauty. By dawn to come full circle, transformed like a promise, fulfilled in the core muscle, where body and soul know every weather there. Thank you. So we're going to finish up, coming back to our 2 featured readers, and they're going to close us out. Shirley?
When I was at a retreat in Santa Cruz, we had an assignment, and it was to have a conversation with something that wasn't human. So since all these beautiful big trees were there, I had a conversation with the tree. Dear tree, what have you to say to me? The air is fine. Breathe deep from your outermost edges. The sky is blue and clear, dear tree. What now have you to say to me? Clear your mind like endless sky and see what is yours to see. I see long shadows from early sun that flow together all as one. What else to see, says dear tree? What smaller things does light reveal? I see the texture of your bark, a place for living things to rest. Yes, other species grow on me, like your mind's ideas springing forth from seed. You attract the birds to build their nest, to settle in, giving forth to birth. What now have you to birth inside? Look deeply there and do not hide.
This force, this wish to express my soul, to give, to love, to contain the whole of all there ever was and is, to be a gift, is what I birth. And so it is, the dear tree said, upon this paper you shall write, for this is how I forever live, use my transformed self to share your gift. Thank you.
Way back in the 1980s, I used to go to a lot of Audubon meetings in Coos Bay, North Bend, where we lived. And we lived right on the estuary on the bay. And one of the meetings, the guest speaker was Don Stensland, who was a geology professor. And he gave us a presentation on Mount St. Helens, which at that point was just bulging. And he predicted almost down to the wire exactly what was going to happen. And sure enough, not much longer later, it did happen. He came back to Audubon another time, and he gave a presentation on tsunamis. I'll let him get past. And he talked about tsunamis, which at that time we hadn't quite transferred over from saying tidal wave to tsunami. And my husband and I sat there and looked at each other and thought, you know, we probably better listen to this guy. He was right on the money with the volcano. And this is from Waltzing the Dragon. It's called Tsunami Trail. The professor says it in the community lecture, says we must all be prepared. After the earthquake, a tsunami may come. His slide projector shows ocean water rising to obliterate the beach. The foredune won't stop it, and geologic history shows seawater may cross the estuary to flood the place we live. My husband and I feel a bit silly, but we chop a trail to the ridge top above our house. Our machetes clear sword ferns and huckleberry vines from the exit route. Our son lives inland, far from the reach of surging disaster. He's a jet pilot now. After a serious coastal shaker, he says he'll do a flyover to watch for our signal on the crest of that hill. His dad wants him to drop a bottle of beer, and I'll need a box of vanilla wafers. And if he doesn't see our signal fire, he should drink the beer and eat the cookies. That's about more than just a tidal wave. It's about parenting. I thank all of you for coming today and being so good about listening, and all the wonderful verses that were read by all the different people. And I thank you, Charles, for introducing us. So thank you very much.
Thank you for all of you for coming. Be well, be safe, be thankful, and hopefully see you next month.